Are Beastmen Minotaurs with shields any good? So let me get this straight. Original Beastmen Minotaurs have lower armor than the Khorne ones by a fair amount, but they're still high HP, hit like trucks, and actually move at a pretty fast clip. So now someone had the bright idea of giving them shields. Does that mean they're beefier? Sorry, had to say it. Please like, subscribe, comment on my puns, and consider donating to my Ko-fi page, because puns are the jalapeno chaos warshrines of life. Thank you to the person who commented about laughing at that. I enjoyed it. The big difference between these big boys and the other big boys is a marginally larger amount of armor at 45, the presence of fat, silver-grade shields blocking 55% of small arms 5, and melee defense enhanced up to 45, and, crucially, there is no bonus against either man-sized or large targets. Now, here's a very legitimate question. Do they need any? I've said before that you can use Minotaurs against large targets and great weapon variants against small targets and you'll still do well. A combination of mass, charge bonus, oh yeah, that's reduced to 32 with the shields version. And most importantly, once you start getting going with Blood Greed, that melee attack can shoot it to pretty busted levels. For a unit that's a powerful charging force, it's pretty decent at being stay and fight too. Do you need those specializations? Sure, they help. But aren't you getting an awful lot for this kind of defensive heft? Well, you can't consider that question in isolation. A very heavily shielded unit tends to be at the center of your line and at the front of the charge. So you're not just using these Minotaurs for their actual damage. You're using them to draw aggro and absorb punishment for the other parts of your line, and if they're not Bestigors, they're a lot squishier. And if they are Bestigors, they have armor, but they do not have shields themselves. See where I'm going with this? Ideally, what you're doing with the shields is getting these Minotaurs into the thick of things as fast as possible, getting their blood greed up in the shortest time possible. Magic and buffs do help with that, and steamrolling as those buffs kick in. Another thing is that the Red Lord skills and the techs add things that work differently for the shields variant. Extra melee defense means you'll get 51 just from the first part of the Red Lord. Extra melee attack means that you'll already be connecting a lot more often even without blood greed. Unless they're fighting their specialized targets, the other variants do the exact same amount of damage, heavy on the armor piercing. Chances simply are you'll have other parts of your army suited for crushing infantry under a hoof, and these shielded Minotaurs will be more than enough to complement them. So you'll probably shift toward a mix of shields and great weapons later in the game. There's no huge reason not to. Of course, if you specifically want to crush dwarfs faster, that's one thing. But I'm saying the shield ones aren't exactly bad at it, and they have a much better chance of surviving to get to a line of Thunderers, as one easy example. Know your strengths, know your role, and the shields will work for you. Unless it's against artillery or magic, these shielded Minotaurs are actually much more resilient than the Khorne ones. Unless, of course, you're being shot in the back. And with all that speed in the roster, why are you being shot in the back? Try and make that, not happen. One last thing. Remember that all Beastmen Minotaurs are woodsman units with no forest penalties. They can even hide in forests. What's the one thing that's even harsher on missile units than big shields? Trees. This is probably just an accidental result when using the other Minotaurs, but with shields, you have good reason to actively seek forest brawls. And they're still Minotaurs. Their weapons hurt. Have fun, and enjoy bashing your foes in the face. That's what shields are really for.